We're back, the Neil Haley Show in the Total Celebrity segment. I'm excited to welcome the program from the Real Housewives of Atlanta, Porsha Williams. Porsha, thanks for calling. How are you doing? And I know you're excited about Tuesday night, aren't you? Love Connection, right?
Yes, I am doing well. Thank you for asking. And yes, I am definitely excited for everybody to see what Andy and I are up to on the 19th tomorrow night. It's going to be crazy.
Well, you think about the Love Connection. You think about the old Love Connection. Porsha, that shows my age at 45, remembering that days. How about you? Do you have any memories of the old Love Connection before Andy?
Oh my God, yes. I used to watch Love Connection all the time. I lived for the moment where they would really talk about the date that they had gone on, and the woman sees it one way and the man sees it another way, and you just never know who they're going to pick at the very end. It was just always a roller coaster watching that show.
And you always remember when the commercial came, be back in 2 and 2, right? Am I right? That was always what he would say for Love Connection, if I'm remembering correctly. Yeah. Right? Oh, my gosh.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't hear you.
No, I said we'll be back in 2 and 2. They would always say on the Love Connection at the commercial break. Right? Remember that? Oh, you don't?
Yes. And you have to see it. Like for me being on the show, it was just as nerve-wracking as it is when you're watching it. I think for the audience, it's like, oh, my God, who's you going to choose? This guy's eliminated. You got 2 guys left. And for me, sitting on that couch, the decision seemed like life or death.
All right, so tell us specifically. So you are part of this, and how are you part of this? Explain that whole thing. So you were on the show, so you had to get worried about stuff. So tell me how you and Andy are connecting on the show Tuesday.
Well, on the show, Andy is finding me love. So I'm the one who gets to go on a date with the 3 guys, and Andy really handpicked these gentlemen. I would have to say he did a really good job. Each guy was very cool in his own right. Of course, one of them stood out more than the other. But I really took this process seriously, and I could tell through going through it that Andy did as well. And we had a whole lot of fun in the process.
Absolutely, Porsha. And let's kind of go into specifically enough the process of the 3 guys without spoiling Tuesday night. Because I'm sure Andy knows you so well, Porsha, and say who's going to be the perfect types, but also ones that are going to make it really interesting, the dates, right?
Right. Andy knows me, and he pretty much, I think, over the years has seen a trend and maybe the type of guy that I've dated. And I think he definitely put one in there to see if I was going to step out of my comfort zone and kind of test me. Because if you want to have a different result, you got to try something different. And, I appreciate the variety.
And we're talking to Porsha Williams of the Real Housewives Atlanta here on the Neil Haley Show, talking about Love Connection with Andy Cohen Tuesday night. We're going to find out the dates for Porsha. Now, Porsha, here's the funny part. Dating now compared to dating back in the day. So how much different is it, especially without spoiling? I don't want to spoil your dates, so everyone needs to tune in. But tell me specifically enough about how dating is different now than, let's say, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, et cetera, of a dating.
Well, for me in particular, it would be 10 years ago. And back in the day, it was really, if the guy was fun, if he knew the great spots to go to in Atlanta, kind of simple things. But now I'm older. I definitely want someone who has business about themselves. So I'm interested in maybe homebodies as opposed to somebody who likes to just be out. And I want somebody who is dating with a purpose, not just out here just dating the date. Somebody who is dating to actually settle down, because that's what I want to do. So my whole mind frame is different going into it now.
You want no drama, Porsha. You want a homebody that's understanding your career, understanding how important everything is, and that you're going to be a breadwinner in a certain way as well. Not, okay, I'm just here as the wife, right, or the girlfriend. You want somebody that's going to treat you as an equal in so many ways. I'm not going to talk about other relationships, even though I'd love to ask that question. You know why? But I'm being cordial in this interview, Porsha, just to promote what you're doing. But ultimately, you're looking for a guy that's going to respect you, respect your career, and understand that you are an equal in so many ways in those dates, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. You know, and as far as the drama, I definitely don't want drama, but, you know, there are other ways to keep the spice in a relationship besides having to be so imbalanced. And, you know, as long as there's that mutual respect, I think I want a partner. I want somebody, we could be a power couple. You can have what you have, I can have what I have, and then we can grow together. Like, that is the turn on for me, is us being able to grow together and, you know, be on the same level.
So, again, we're talking to Porsha Williams of the Real Housewives of Atlanta here on the Neil Haley Show. What would you say, Porsha? Do you want somebody that is known, very well known in the community? I mean, like a celebrity, or are you looking for somebody, homebody, that really you're the star in certain ways and you're the one that the paparazzi is going to look at? Do you see yourself wanting somebody that is going to have that same high profile as yourself? If you're looking, I know on the show it wasn't like that, but I'm talking of our love life.
Yeah, you know, if I were to date somebody who was in the spotlight, they would have to be similar to me because you know, even though I am in the spotlight, any of my friends will tell you, I am one to be out when I have to and in majority of the time. You know, I love house parties. I love cooking at home for my family. I love doing all that, you know, just kind of down-to-earth type of stuff. So if it was like a cool celebrity or somebody like that, I would. But really, I'm looking for the regular guy, you know, someone who's ready to start a family, and someone who has the priorities together. That's, you know, and putting me and our future family, if we were to have one first. That's really what's important to me. You
don't want ego. Ego is something that you don't want in a relationship. You want it to be a partnership.
No, ego.
Yes, ego.
I don't want ego. I want confidence. I think it's a big difference. I don't want you to have a big ego that can easily be bruised, and then, you know, now you're feeling some type of way, and now you're getting insecure about little things. I want somebody who's confident, though, to stand next to me and let's move around and do what we do, and he still feels good about himself as well as, you know, raising me up.
Absolutely, Porsha. And so give us the perfect guy in 30 seconds. What are you looking for? You talked about a homebody. You're talking about somebody that's confident but not cocky and arrogant. You're looking for somebody that's a partnership. Anything else? Let's talk about looks. What are you looking for? An athletic guy? What kind of looks are you looking for, Porsha?
Oh, my goodness. In the looks department, I would just have to say they need to be attractive to me. I've been known to date guys that may not be attractive to other people, but just attractive to me. And really what's attractive to me is if we have good chemistry. So somebody who is deeming themselves. I don't like people who are kind of pretending just to, like, get to know me or pretending to, you know, agree with everything I say. Like, that stuff irritates me. Just be you, be honest, be transparent, and be God-fearing, and that's pretty much it.
All right. We're back. The Neil Haley Show on the Author's Corner segment. And, you know, when I talk to authors and how interesting they are and how amazing this guy is, I'm excited to welcome to the program James Patterson. He's the co-author of The President is Missing. He's a New York Times best-selling author, Guinness Book World Records, the number of New York Times best-selling books. James, how are you? And tell me, how do you have so many New York Times best-selling books? You are the one that every author dreams to be. It sounds like what you've been able to accomplish.
What I try to do, I try to pretend there's a reader sitting right across from me, and I want to tell them a story, and I don't want them to get up until I'm finished. I mean, that's what I try to do, and sometimes it succeeds. I think it succeeded pretty well because you know, The President Missing. I'm doing that with President Clinton. I did it, and you know, the reviews have been mostly great. And then you get authors, you know, like Lee Child, who's a big thriller author.
Right.
You know, he called it the thriller of the decade. And then Ron Chernow, who's a nonfiction guy who did, you know, Hamilton. And he was equally, you know, a lot of praise for the book as well. So if you like nonfiction, I think it works real well. And if you're a thriller reader, I think it works real well. So, you know, that's not me talking, that's other people.
So tell us how you got involved in this project with President Clinton and all that, and how that happened. Because that's got to be a dream for you to have a co-authoring with such a great man.
President Clinton and I are both from small towns. I grew up upstate New York, and when I was a kid, 8, 9 years old, President Eisenhower came to town, and I never forgot that. I never forgot seeing him, even though I never got that close to him. So the idea of writing a book with President Clinton, spending a year with him. I mean, we're not. I'm not a Democrat, but we got along great. He was, really respectful about the whole process, and so it was a great experience. And I think if people want to find out what it's really like to be president, this is the book. There's a lot of authenticity to it. And you just read scene after scene after scene, and you go, okay, that's how that would work. That's how that would work. There's an incredible threat to the United States, cybersecurity, which is, I think, and President thinks is the greatest threat there is to this country right now. This is the way it could happen. There's an attack on the presidential limousine. This is the way it would happen. There's a traitor in the White House. This is the way it would happen. So it's very thrilling, but it's authentic, which I think is very cool.
Well, absolutely, James. And when you talk about a cyber attack that's due to happen soon, and could you imagine if it could take all of our financial means and all the banks, we wouldn't know how much money we had if they were able to do all these different things, and then even the healthcare.
They're thinking the lights go out on the eastern seaboard for a few hours. It really it can get a lot more serious than that. Everything can go out and then be erased. So all your medical records are gone. All of your bank records are gone. In other words, you have no money. There's no money in the bank because there's no record of it. All your stocks, if you have stocks, are gone. So the threat is incredible. And right now, we have a huge defense budget, but almost none of it is for cybersecurity.
We got to invest in technology then, James, it sounds like. We need to invest in the gurus to understand.
Russia is not going to drop a bomb on us. It'd be suicidal. Right. North Korea is not going to drop a bomb. It'd be suicidal. But cybersecurity, that is a big deal, and that can happen. And it doesn't have to be a country. It can be, a dozen, hackers. I mean, it's the threat is really amazing. In that sense, it's a really scary book. And what I hope a lot of people will read it and call their congresspeople or call the president, or not call him, but send a note to the president and say, look, we got to pay more attention to cybersecurity.
Do you think this will turn into a movie or something, James? The way this story is drawing out.
Showtime is hot on it right now. We're just talking to the writer, which is pretty exciting. So they're very pumped up about turning it into it'll be a series, actually, maybe for a few years. Who knows?
Wow, that's a great opportunity. And James, how many of your books have become series for our listeners that might not know?
We've got Instinct on right now. We had Zoo last year, and then a few more, some Alice Cross movies. Kissed a Girls, Along Came a Spider. So we do reasonably well out in Hollywood.
Well, it sounds like you definitely. Again, we're talking to James Patterson, co-author of "The President Is Missing" here on the Neil Haley Show. And what was the thing that you learned most about what the president does on a regular basis that you did not know before co-authoring with President Clinton?
Well, I think one of the things is just. The president, whether it's President Clinton or President Trump, they are in prison. I mean, there's Secret Service everywhere. They can't go anywhere. They are trapped, and I think that's really hard to imagine for most of us. And also, just what an important job it is, how stressful it is. I mean, the stress just never stops. And President Clinton, can talk and talk and talk about that, and I'm sure President Trump can talk about it right now. The stress is just unbelievable. You're in a spotlight. It's hot, and threats to the country are coming on a daily basis.
Does President Clinton feel at all for President Trump what he's going through with the media, and could he imagine how tough it would have been? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think he does. I know the Trumps a bit. I actually have played golf with President Clinton, President Trump, and President Bush. And I think they all have an appreciation for what the president has to go through. I was actually talking to Eric Trump a couple of days ago, and he said, I saw you on television, and he said, Jesus, we put up with this stuff every day. So it's tough out there.
And it's a great representation, and you're really excited about the success of the book so far, James, as well, right? That's another cool thing about this book.
No, it's my biggest book by, it's quadruple anything I've ever done, and I've had nothing but #1 bestsellers. So, yeah, and for good reason. A lot of people really, the reviews have been really good, and we've had, Nelson DeMille, Harlan Coben, Jeffrey Deaver, Mary Higgins Clark, Chernow I mentioned. You know, all these writers are coming out of the weeds and saying this is that the president is missing is a really, you know, don't miss it.
Well, we definitely won't miss it for sure, James. And I guess the last thing to talk about, if you were a fly on the wall with you and President Clinton going back and forth writing this book, you have some stories to tell that you could never tell, right, James?
He has some stories to tell that he can never tell. I'll tell anything. No, you know, it was just a great relationship. I mean, just little things like in the book, the president goes missing and he has to drive the fictional president. And I said to President Clinton, I said, when was the last time you drove? And he had to think about it. Because he said, I used to love to drive. And he said, actually, the last time I remember is I taught Chelsea how to drive down at Camp David. So he never got. I drove in a golf cart with him. I let him drive. That was a mistake. He's he's a wild man behind the wheel.
Is President Clinton a pretty good golfer, James?
He's okay. I mean, we're both okay. I mean, my joke about it was, you know, we did a thing for Sports Illustrated, and they said, who's better? And I said, well, he's better at giving 4 and 5 foot putts, and I'm better at dropping a second ball. So you know, we made a joke out of it, but we're both fine. We love it and we have fun doing it.
Would you ever change?
Trump's a better golfer than one of us.
James, would you ever change?
Trump's actually very good.
Really? Oh, really? I didn't know that. Oh, James, would you ever trade being a New York Times bestselling author to becoming the president?
No. Oh, no. I wouldn't trade anything for being the president. No, thank you. I've seen it. I don't want it.
We're back, the Neil Haley Show on the Total Celebrity segment. I'm excited to welcome the program from NBC's Shades of Blue, Ray Liotta. Ray, thanks for calling. How are you?
Good. How are you, Neil?
I am doing absolutely fantastic, and I wanted to tell you that my wife and I watch the show every week. It's not a DVR. We sit down when it airs live, and we just have been just so excited about how awesome the show is, and we're such huge fans of yours.
I know. It's a shame that they canceled it.
You know, I mean, the last season. And when I heard that, I was kind of disappointed. Why is that, Ray? Can you even say?
I have no idea. I have theories. I could point a lot of fingers at certain people, but it's just I really have no idea. I think Jennifer, she has such a full plate, and to do a series like this it's hard to be able to do other things as when you're doing this. It's just extremely taxing. The hours go on forever, and
exactly.
You don't have your weekends free because you're learning lines. So
it's definitely something that it's disappointment. But it's, again, what happened to you last season. That really kind of and Jennifer was pretty rough, wasn't it, for the fans to say what's going to happen next with your characters?
Yeah, I know it starts off 6 months like after what you see at the end of last year, and now what's happening is somebody gets murdered, and Jennifer wants to go about getting the person that's a friend that means a lot to her. She wants to do things more on the straight and narrow, where my character wants to do things the old way because it's just much more effective and it's quicker. And she sets out to do something. She's trying to, and I have to help her out again, as I do a lot of times. But she wants to do things the right way, and I want to keep it the edgy way.
Ray, we knew your character is not going to turn to the good side. He's been through too much, hasn't he?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. This season, even more so. I start to have flashbacks in my mind of my daughter who committed suicide, and I felt that I kind of pushed her towards. Not making her do it, but just something that I said. It was kind of like a last straw before she killed herself. So I feel extremely guilty about that. And I have these flashbacks with my daughter, and my daughter, me, Ray, my daughter, Carson, she played the part. So it was really great.
Oh,
she did a good job, and it added an unbelievable weightiness to some of the scenes.
So was that exciting to have her involved in this project, especially to have your daughter involved in this?
Yeah, totally. She was great. She just was very natural, and she's been watching me on sets for years, her whole life, and this is something that she wants to do. And she's already gotten a few movies and did them, won some acting award from a festival. So she's doing really good with it. She's going to be moving here to New York pretty soon, I think.
That's fantastic. Again, we're talking to Ray Liotta of NBC's Shades of Blue here on the Neil Haley Show. And Ray, your character, we were by the end of the season, we're going to really find out all the demons, aren't we?
A lot of them. I mean, they didn't write this season as a final season. They're not wrapping things up as if it was going to be the last time people were going to see the show. We just found out a few weeks ago that NBC pulled it, and not sure of the reason why, but so yes, you do find out a lot of things, but it's not a wrap up like it would have been if we knew it was the last season. We're all kind of disappointed. Well,
I think I'm one of the most disappointed, Ray, because again, I think that this is one of the best police shows out ever because of just the talent of you and Jennifer and the cast that's around you guys. You work so well together.
Yeah, thank you. We're all going to miss doing it.
And it's interesting, right? Especially with the movies, television, having a show like this with two high-powered people like you and Jennifer, and how that social media and that connection and all the fans, they should all be really upset and continue to just, hey, say, we love this show. I wish it could stay.
Yeah, it would be great if somebody started some write-in campaign to, or have another network pick it up. I know that's happened to some show this year where it went from Fox to ABC. It would be nice, but Jennifer was so much a part of it that it would definitely have to be a different show. I mean, I think what it is she has so much on her plate that doing this was just, made it too impossible on her. It was too much of a demand, because she's got that dance show that's now 2 hours a week, and her Vegas show. So it was hard to do all the things. And this really takes a lot out of you, and you really need to put time and effort into it.
And Ray, I think that also when you talk about social media and things like that, this is something different for you, especially getting this high profile of the show on television and then seeing how you really can connect with the fans more, Ray, than years before in your career. Wouldn't you agree? Especially with how much this has gotten strong on social media and your fan base.
Well, I mean, it certainly helped. I mean, really, Goodfellas and Field of Dreams are really what most people talk about. This show did really good once you added in what they call the +3s and the +7s, because they have an equation now where they add they take some numbers that represent people who what do they call it? DVR.
Oh yeah, DVR. Yeah.
They put. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they DVR the show, and so they take the 3 days, and then they take it for 7 days. So we were averaging about 10 million, which is really good. But I'd sure like to get to the bottom of why this happened. I think I have my theories.
Oh, do you know what, Ray? Are you that kind of person? It sounds like your characters that you play in movies, or is it like you? Would you say, Ray?
Oh, this character?
Yeah, any of your characters. Not in certain ways, the way you're saying, we're going to find out what's happening and why it happened. It sounds like your characters.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. No, I'm just talking me, Ray wants to find out.
Yes.
From NBC.
Yeah.
Not me, Ray Wozniak.
No, I understand that, Ray. You know what I'm talking about. I'm just saying your characters are a lot like you and chatting with you and stuff.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You think so?
Yeah, exactly. Saying, I'm going to get down to the bottom of this and find out what's happening. And you're really, straight. Some of these other people are not, for sure.
Really? You think that's just a movie? You think that's just a movie term?
No, I don't.
Get to the bottom of this?
I don't think so. I think it's you, Ray. We're back at the Neil Haley Show on the Total Celebrity segment, and I'm excited to welcome to the program Derek Huff of World of Dance. Derek, how are you? How are you, Derek?
Good. How you doing?
Fantastic, Derek. Great to have you on the show. I know. Tell us about that experience so far and how the explosion of dance since you started your career. You got to be just so amazed, aren't you?
Oh, man. Well, World of Dance Season 2 is just, it's remarkable. It really is. The level of dancing, performances, the artistry, the athleticism, it really is just on another level. It's incredible. And the dancers from all over the world coming together under this, on the stage, producing just the most entertaining and just high energy performances. It's incredible.
And aren't you amazed at the growth, Derek? It's got to be unbelievable from when you first started. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, being a dancer, it felt like kind of a small world when I started dancing and competing around. And I competed around the world, traveling all around and competing and just seeing this growth of dance in the past decade has been just amazing. And what I love is seeing the knowledge from people who aren't necessarily like in the dance world directly, but who appreciate it and who are entertained by it and who love it. It's been amazing to be a part of that sort of evolution or even revolution of dance for this past decade.
And again, we're talking to Derek Huff here on the Neil Haley Show from World of Dance. And Derek, I tell you, you've just been surprised at the contestants and how they get better and better each and every year and how more and more people are getting involved in dance. And that's what we're talking to you today is about your masterclass, Derek.
Yes. Well, one of the things I mean, for me, being a coach, being a teacher and a mentor, choreographer, I mean, those are such fulfilling aspects of what I do. I love connecting and teaching, and especially when you're teaching somebody who feels like they aren't a dancer or they can't dance, and then and all of a sudden they had that moment where like, wait a minute, I'm in control of my body, I understand what I'm doing, and it's sort of this light goes on, and when you feel connected to your body and it gives you this confidence, because people will say, well, I'm not really confident, I don't have confidence, and confidence isn't something that you have, it's something that you create. And I feel like, when you dance, when you are in control of your body, it gives you that sort of confidence. You create that. And with this masterclass series, I'm going to be teaching, cha-cha, jive, and contemporary, and urban dance with Keone Amari from season 1, who are amazing. And it's very accessible. You could be a beginner. You could be a non-dancer. You could be a professional dancer. It doesn't matter. There's something in it for everybody. And you can actually go to worldofdancemasterclass.com and purchase the lessons, the classes, and you can watch it over and over again. You can go at your own pace, which I love because if I'm teaching you one-on-one, we might have like an hour lesson together, but then that's it. With this, you can watch it as many times as you need to watch it, and it's at your fingertips. And what's cool too as well is that there's with each class, there's also a performance at the end of the class that kind of, it's also for fun, for entertainment, but also if you want to learn it. So, and what's great too about this class too, these classes, is it's very high quality.
Right.
It's very high quality. There's some really great methods and things that I use in there that really help you understand and not be sort of intimidated by dancing. I think that we hear the word dance and we get scared, but when really it's just movement. It's just organized movement, and we move every single day, and so when you make that relationship between just everyday movement with organized movement, then you start to become a dancer.
We're talking to Derek Huff from World Dance here on the Neil Haley Show. And Derek, I have 2 left feet. Can you teach me how to dance?
Absolutely. I really believe this. I really truly believe that there is rhythm. There is this primal it's primal to dance, to be in all of us. I mean, if you look at a toddler, a little baby, you know, before they can walk, you put music on, they're bobbing their heads, they're rocking back and forth. I think that we all have this internal rhythm and dancer in us all, and I think that it's just tapping into that, breaking down the walls of insecurities or a fear of dancing, and get moving and you know, set yourself free, you know.
And your master class, Derek, will that teach people even like the ability level of someone like myself to take this class?
Absolutely, yes. It covers the spectrum, you know, from beginners or people who've never danced before, to where we can really break it down and you can really understand it and feel comfortable, feel safe, and you're entertained. And also for me personally, like I always like to incorporate, because dancing for me is not just about dancing and the movement. It's really about yourself and about connecting to yourself. And you know, for me, that's what it's all about. And you know, it's definitely something for everybody in these master classes.
What is your favorite style of dance, Derek?
My favorite style, I guess it depends. It depends on the music. I think the music always drives the routine and the style. But I love dancing jive. It's so much fun. It's so entertaining. It's high energy. I love dancing contemporary, you know, with the storytelling and the emotion and tapping into this sort of raw vulnerability within yourself. That's really powerful, actually. Yeah, you know, I feel so passionate about dancing and about seeing people dance and about teaching people about dance and how to dance as well. That's what this master class is all about. It's about sharing. It's about serving, you know, people at home and giving them this opportunity to learn and to grow and to learn something different.
And do you feel, being a judge on the show, Derek, that, again, when you talk about Jennifer Lopez and yourself, seeing the different styles of dance and what you think's better, are you seeing that kind of situation sometimes, Derek?
What's better between different styles?
Yeah, and how you guys judge, you and Jennifer and stuff.
Oh, yeah. Well, what I love about the way we judge on World of Dance is that, you know, obviously our initial reaction, our initial reaction and response to the performances is obviously, you know, important, but also we have these judging paths where we go down and we break it down, you know, from choreography to transitions to creativity to execution to cleanliness. I mean, there's so many different variables that create a great performance. It's getting that right formula. And we're able to really break down each performance to really make it an even playing field to where we can judge, you know, a group of 30 next to, you know, a soloist. And that's what's so great about the judging system.
We're back to the Neil Haley Show in the Total Celebrity segment and Author's Corner segment. When you talk about what I grew up watching, it was this show, The Simpsons. So I'm excited to welcome to the program writer Mike Reiss. He is the writer of Springfield Confidential. Mike, thanks for calling. How are you?
I am very well. Such a pleasure to talk to you.
Absolutely, Mike. Let's kind of go into specifically enough. Why write the book? Okay, I mean, you're very busy with all your other projects. We all know the success of The Simpsons, but why now?
You know, the true answer is I got tricked into it. You know, a journalist who I never met called me up. He said, Mike, you and I are going to go on the road and see America, and that's going to be a book, and there won't be any Simpsons in it at all. And here we are 2 years later. I wrote the book. It's 95% Simpsons. I never got in a car with this guy. We never saw any of America. And maybe that's the best way. I think I got, you know, because it was over time I figured out what's the book people want to read. They don't want to read about me in a car with some guy I never met, you know, unless he kidnapped and tortured me. So, these are all the questions I've gotten over 30 years about The Simpsons. Everything is answered in the book. Once you read this book, you never have to talk to me again. That's why my wife bought one.
That's a good joke, Mike. Let's go to the story. I was watching one of your interviews, and you talked about specifically enough how this got started that, when first The Simpsons came out, there was no thought process this was going to be a success because of the fact that, you've never seen cartoons that have been able to hit all age areas. So when you first started, you just said, let's just have fun, right? Tell us that story.
That is the story. When I was working on It's Gary Shandling show. It has a cult following these days, but it was the lowest rated show on television. And I was on summer break, and I get a call from Sam Simon, one of the creators of The Simpsons. He says, "Do you want to work on this new show?" And I said, "Why are you calling me? I don't know you." He says, "I'm calling you because nobody else wants to work on The Simpsons." And it sounded not just like a failure. People thought it was career suicide to write for a cartoon for adults on this new network, the Fox network. So I took the job, and I didn't tell anyone what I was doing. And I think the fact that we just thought the show was going to be a quick failure and no one was going to see it just was so liberating. We said, all right, let's just fill it with the kind of stuff we want to see on TV, but nobody lets us do. And we better make the show move fast because this was our one shot to put stuff in the show. So we just jammed it full of crazy things we had never seen on television before, and that's the formula that worked.
It's definitely the formula that worked, Mike. And from that point on, there you go. The genre of The Simpsons, internationally known. So this book, again, tells you all the answers to those great questions about characters, about why this happened, what was the reasoning for this show. Now, how about the whole thing now, Mike? You're laughing about this, I'm sure, on Facebook all the time, the fake news that you guys predict things happening in the future. What do you think of that whole thing coming out and stuff, that you guys are like a time machine that is able to predict the future because it's already happened on The Simpsons?
Well, of course, it's crazy. What's sort of nice, our ratings in our season 29 went up. And I think it's people, they don't think of us as a cartoon anymore. We're like the horoscope, They want to see what's going to happen in the future. And I have to say, I equate The Simpsons with like a crazy homeless guy who's been sitting on the corner for 30 years just babbling nonsense. And the crazy homeless guy, every 5 or 6 years, I'm sure he gets something right. And that's The Simpsons. The scary part, of course, is just how do we come up with this stuff? We go, what's the stupidest thing we can imagine? And we put that in the show, and then a few years later it happens. And it's, the most famous one, I remember the moment we were sitting there in the year 2000 going, what's the dumbest thing we could imagine America doing? And someone said, President Trump. And I remember it even was stuck. We said, I don't know, that's a little too dumb. But it went in the show, and it was just a 2-second joke, and now we're living it.
Exactly, Mike. We're living it for sure. And what's so amazing is you interviewed a lot of the major stars in this book as well, talking about, their characters and stuff like that in this process, right, of the book, kind of going into some of the characters' development and all that?
Yes. Yeah. I talk about this journalist who thought of the whole idea for the book, and that was a great contribution he had. He talked to everybody important that I worked with. So the stars of the show, he talked to Conan O'Brien, talked to Judd Apatow, and I think they said a lot of things to him they wouldn't say to me, and that's in the book. So all the way through, I'm telling a story, and then you hear, here's Conan O'Brien's version of that story. Here's what Judd Apatow thought at the time, and it's real value added to the book, and it keeps me very honest all the way through.
It definitely does. And let's go with famous Simpson quote. What is your favorite quote of one of your characters? What would you say, Mike?
I'm sorry, my favorite what?
Favorite quote. Favorite quote. Like, how they say specific lines all the time in the show. What would you say your favorite is of the characters?
Yes. I think my favorite quote was something that's wound up on T-shirts. It's become a real slogan. And it was a guy named Dan Graney wrote it, where he said, I was swinging for the fences. He was trying to come up with a line people would say forever. The line is, "Here's the beer, the cause of and cure for all of man's problems."
Exactly. My favorite, again, like some of the characters, I love, again, Mr. Burns. He's one of my favorite characters. I also love the one, You Live in a Drawer. I forget which guy, the one of the kids that's friends with Bart and stuff like that. So the ha-ha, it's just such a show that I grew up watching. I haven't a chance to watch it in so many years, and it really hasn't changed, right, Mike? That's the funny thing. You just write new storylines, but the characters haven't changed much in 30 years, have they?
They don't change one bit. They're just like real life. People don't improve. People always ask, why don't they grow older? And I go, what cartoon character ever got older? You know, Mickey Mouse is 85 years old. But do you want to see him on a walker, you know, hooked up to an oxygen tank?
Not at all.
It's a great thing. You know, we all wish we didn't grow old. And that's it. People like The Simpsons 30 years ago. They haven't gotten older. They haven't changed. And they haven't changed their clothes in 30 years, which is kind of sad.
So, Mike, what do you think about The Simpsons? How many years do you think it's going to run as a show? Do you think it's never going to stop? It's going to break every record in the world by just continuing to be on Fox? What are your thoughts?
I'm sorry, that's sad.
No, how long?
One more time.
No, how long do you think this show's going to last on the air, a running series? Do you think it's going to? Yeah.
We've been ready for the show to go any moment now. Again, everything past the first 6 weeks has been a shock to us. We'll go, you know, when the public tells us to get off the air. And the past season, we were the number 2 rated show on Fox. So I think we've got another good 600 or 700 years left in us.
We're back, the Neil Haley Show on the Total Celebrity segment. I'm excited to welcome the program Akbar Baja, Bia Miller, and Christine Leahy. Guys, thanks for calling from American Ninja Warrior. I know you guys are excited today to talk about what's coming up soon. How are you?
Neil, we are doing so good. We're so glad to be on the show this morning.
Absolutely, Akbar. I've talked to you before, and again, both of us as professional athletes and having lots of children. Do you still want to hit that course after you've seen some of the amazing feats and stories that have been happening lately on the show?
Yeah, I did hit the course for the first time. You know, I'd been talking about it for so long, but for the first time I had an opportunity to do it on Red Nose Day. We had the Celebrity Ninja Warrior, and I just wanted to kind of put my money where my mouth was, and I did it. I mean, let me tell you something. I was extremely, extremely nervous taking on the scene. It's totally different than doing the NFL thing. This is totally out of my element, but I got prepared for it, trained with Kevin Bull, one of the ninjas. He got me ready for it, but let me tell you, it wasn't easy for the big fella at 6'6", 260. I might have been the heaviest guy ever to get on the court.
I think you were.
Yeah, right.
I think so, yeah.
Oh, wow. And see, and heavy, I know that's hard, Akbar, and I'll jump back over really quickly, Christine. Thinking about specifically enough when you, the strength of just lifting yourself up when you weigh so much, it's hard to like do pull-ups or anything when you weigh more weight, right? It's push-ups, everything when you have that much weight.
Neil, let me tell you something. It was one of the most humbling things I had to go through while training, whereas I'm used to being able to bench press, 400 pounds and squat a whole bunch of weight. But to move my own weight is where I struggled. I mean, I started off my ninja training. I was only able to do about 3 pull-ups. At the end of all of training, I got up to 12, which is a big deal.
That's fantastic.
I never got the double before. And that's just to give you an idea of how difficult it is to be able to be strong in the weight room but not be able to move your own body weight. And to be successful as a ninja, you have to be able to move your body weight. And it challenges you mentally and physically. But that's why these ninjas that we're seeing, Christine and I, we get a chance to see how strong they are both physically and mentally.
Now, Christine, have you hit the obstacle course? Have you done it yourself?
No, I'm the only one of the 3 of us now who hasn't done the course. Matt's done parts of it, but I've noticed that he winds up in the ER every time. And then I saw Akbar do it, which was because he did not. You were successful. You made it up the warp wall. So I think that it's kind of my time now. I have to do it. There's no more excuses. And I've been working out a lot. I just don't want to do it in season because I'm really afraid I'll break my face.
You wouldn't break your face.
Which isn't good
for when we're shooting a show.
Well, Christine, just so you know, I have a bunch of my old football helmets at home.
You want me to do it in a football helmet?
Yeah, you can do it. If you're worried about your face, no, you'll be fine.
No, I just have peripheral vision. I don't want to add any weight to my body. I need to be agile and lean.
I'll give you the punter's helmet.
Punter helmet.
Yeah, and that way you can see more. But, you know, to be honest, I've actually worked out with Christine a couple of times. And let me tell you, she gets after it. I mean, don't be fooled. I mean, she's going to get after it. But I think she is a little nervous. She's just not. She's a little scared to get on the course.
I don't want to go to the hospital.
You're not going to go to the hospital.
So that's great to have all three of you at least wanting to be semi-athletic when you see these great contestants, right, Akbar? It's like that's part of the whole thing, working out, living that Ninja Warrior health mentality, right, Akbar?
Well, it is, and I think what it is, it's a testament to how the ninjas really inspire us. I mean, you know, here I am, a former athlete, retired. You know, Christine, she's had her athletic, career, and you look at Matt, he had his athletic career. But then I think when you see this and we're far removed from it, you get inspired by the stories. And it's the same thing with the folks at home. They get inspired by the stories of these ninjas that overcome so much. Here you are getting ordinary people doing extraordinary things on this obstacle course. And that's why we're excited. Our move to Monday, we're on tomorrow in Miami, but we move back to Mondays in Indianapolis. And we get a chance to see our very first American Ninja Warrior winner, Isaac Caldiero. He's back after 3 years. That's going to be exciting TV to watch.
So Monday night, but Christine, also the podcast. Tell us about the podcast, and we'll go right back to Monday night for sure, what people need to tune into.
You know what? I'm not involved in the podcast, so I'm going to have Akbar answer that one for you.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, well, yeah, the podcast it's a deep dive. We actually go into a lot of these ninjas' personal lives. We talk about who they are, where they grew up, and what makes them such a phenomenal story. And we get a little bit of that during the show, where you get to see a little bit of their story in about 60 to 30 seconds. But we actually want to go further. So we talk to these ninjas for about an hour, and I tell you, the stuff that's come out in these podcasts have been nothing but amazing. So you can check out American Ninja Warrior podcast. We're on right after the day after the show airs. So you'll be able to get that the Tuesday after the Monday showings of American Ninja Warrior.
That's a great idea, Christine, to tell these stories, right? Aren't these stories amazing since you've been covering it? Just of the people and what background they've come from and how they overcame everything and all odds at times to be successful and be on this show.
Yeah, I think that's why the show is so successful and why people keep coming back to watch, because we have a fair share of returning ninjas, and then we also have new people and their stories. We have like 100,000 people now trying to be on the show, and you would think that we would run out of great things to tell, but we don't. And it's really inspiring, and I think people at home watch, and they get really attached to certain people based on story that we show before their run, and so they're rooting for them. And then you want to see them come back year after year, and we've had people who are sick who are now healthy, and vice versa. And it's great to follow these people.
Yeah, and on the flip side too, Neil, is that the fact that this year we've done something a little different, for our 10th season now. And just to think about, the show has been on now for 10 seasons, and especially era of TV, that's quite challenging to be on for 10 seasons. But we've done something different in that we lowered the age requirement now. So 19 years old, you now can compete on American Ninja Warrior. And so we have, in those 100,000 of submission videos, we have younger stories, guys who are just a year or two removed from taking the SAT and the ACT test, trying to get into college. And now they're competing on Ninja Warrior. So you're getting professional, young professionals getting into the ninja season. It would be cool, though.
And they can win $10,000 if they make it up to Mega Warped Law.
$10,000.
You're 19, you can win $10,000.
I mean, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
I mean, that's at least a semester's worth of, maybe a little less. A little bit less now with the tuition prices now. But $10,000 can help you out with some books and food and stuff like that on campus.
And Christine, I guess that you've saw the whole rise of American Ninja Warrior to, where it was kind of like, oh, okay, some people are doing it, to now there are training facilities all over the country. You just got to be blown away with the growth and what this has become.
We're available in Target now. You can buy Ninja Warrior products at Target. So, yeah, it has grown quite a bit, and so many people have backyard courses. I think at least 3 times a day I have a family send me one of their kids doing course in the backyard. There are ninja gyms everywhere. And the show just keeps growing, and it's really become a lifestyle.
Yeah, it's become a lifestyle, and you know that because a lot of the stuff has gone viral. You know, you talk about, Christine talks about people just sending videos, and you look at a lot of the viral moments on social media, and you'll see kids doing backyard ninja.
Oh,
and that's amazing to see how much the show has impacted families in their personal time, where the kids can create their own fun with American Ninja Warrior. And, you know, we've even spun off now to get, you know, an American Ninja Warrior Junior for kids, and that's going to be special. But I think what's more special now, though, is just the stories that we have coming up this year for this season. You know, Christine already talked about the Mega Warp Wall. We took something as iconic as the Warp Wall, which used to be one of the harder obstacles to get over, but now ninjas have practiced over and over. So we supersized the Warp Wall and made it 18 feet. And if you get up that 18 feet warp wall, you get 10 G's.
Oh,
wow. Just straight up 10 G's on the spot.
We're back to the Neil Haley Show in the Total Celebrity segment, and I'm so excited to welcome the program Marlon Wayans from NBC's Marlon. Marlon, thanks for calling, man. And I'm going to tell you right now, I'm a huge fan of In Living Color. I've had Tommy Davidson on my show countless times, and it's so great to have you on the show today.
Hey, thanks for having me, man. Tommy's crazy. I love Tommy.
Isn't he? So what did you learn from Tommy? Let's go, you know, especially, you know, you came into In Living Color at close to the end. What did you learn from Tommy?
I learned that his commitment to physicality and his energy in every scene. I learned it was like amazing. I learned there are no small parts, only small actors, and that you can make the most of every moment. Tommy never let any moment just be a moment. No matter what character he was doing, Tommy always gave it his all.
And that's key, and that's so important. And then I guess the experience when you talk about In Living Color, it was just such a huge thing to jumpstart the rest of your career, right? Wouldn't you say, just to be part of that cast and working with such unbelievable comics and the Wayans brand itself, right?
I was lucky. I was so lucky to go to In Living Color was comedy college for me. I got to work with greats like Damon and Keenan and Jim Carrey and Kelly Caulfield and Kim, and you know, I was just a young buck, and I remember all those lessons, just sitting there watching those guys in their prime just be brilliant. And 20 years later, now I have the opportunity to execute the same thing on my show, Marlon, and I apply all of that.
And it's so important because when you learn in those skits, you learn how to develop characters, you learn so many different things, and you learn how comics and comedy works. And you said it was a school for you, for sure.
Yeah, I mean that if without that school, I don't know if I'd be the comedian I am today. And I also know how hard the work is. And that's why I'm on the road working every weekend to try and get better. Because the more you work, the harder you work, the better you get, and the longer time you will have in this industry. For me, this is a marathon, not a sprint. I've been in the game 25 years, and I feel like my best years are ahead of me.
And I truly believe this. We're talking to Marlon Wayans on NBC's Marlon on the Neil Haley Show, and looking at, again, the next opportunity you had, which was Scary Movie. So you go from one unbelievable brand to Scary Movie with Keenan, and this is huge because you're a writer now. So you go from, you know, learning from comedians and working your craft to then writing, and that must have been an unbelievable experience with Scary Movie.
It was. I remember Keenan sent me I'm Gonna Get You Sucker when I was 9 years old.
Oh, I love that movie.
And I read that script and I laughed my behind off, and I was like, wow, my brother wrote that. I want to be a writer. And from that day on, I started writing young, and we wrote Don't Be a Menace, and then created Scary Movie, White Chicks, Little Man, and you know, it was always a dream to get to the level where I could work with my big brother and partner with him, and we was able to accomplish that. And for me, I mean, like, you know, there's nothing greater than working with your hero.
Absolutely. And then now, Marlon, to have your own show, I'm sure this is a dream of yours, Marlon, forever, to say, okay, now my show, Marlon, and looking at the specific things. And I love the storyline because, again, a couple that separate, decide to still work together. And there's so many families like that, aren't there, Marlon, that have in so many ways. Yeah.
So many broken families, but the reality of it is sometimes your heart is broken, your ego's broken, but you don't have to break your family. You find a way to make it work, find a way to become friends, and because I think it's important for kids to see that their mama and daddy can love them and love each other as well.
So true. And coming up with that storyline, did you write this as well, Marlon, the show? No,
life wrote it for me. My ex kicked me to the curb, and then after that we had to figure it out, and so we just learned to be great friends, and we still go on vacations together. We still, hang out. I still spend the night over there sometimes, and I date my family.
It's a challenge, isn't it? It's reality meets life in so many ways in the show and going through that. But again, this blended family, such an important part of a situation that people see this show as something that, hey, this does happen in real life. We are not the Cosby Show anymore. There are broken families. There are people that get divorced, but they have to make it work so the family continues to work. And that's the premise of the show. And your character, you bring that comedy edge to it in the way of, of showing, hey, you're a father, but yet you want to have fun with your kids. You want to do certain things while your ex is like, no, I don't. I want to keep it straight and narrow. So it's an interesting working back and forth in a relationship like that.
Yeah, and it comes from a real life situation, and it's great when you could take your life and make it art. And laughing at pain is a great thing, and laughing with laughs, and just creating a forum that it's a cloud for me to just express my life, and it's a blank canvas, and it's kind of like life is creating the art.
So what should we expect season 2, Marlon? Tell us about what we should expect in season 2.
For it to be funny. I didn't think we could make a funnier show than we did in season 1, but somehow we managed to make another 10 really funny, strong episodes. I think season 2 is funnier than season 1.
That's great. That's fantastic. And that's excitement of working with the cast. And I'm sure you enjoy the cast as well, working with them on a regular basis.
I love my cast. I've known each one of them outside of this for a long time, and I'm just really blessed to be able to work with them. I think they're all so funny and all so talented, and we keep each other laughing, and we're all really good friends. And it's rare that you get this situation where you could go to work with people that you love and do what you love. So, I'm blessed, and I don't take it for granted.
All right, again, everyone.
Hi, Bethel Park. Uncle Al speaking. I'm asking you to come help us behind the scenes at BP TV. We're looking for some proud Bethel Park residents to help us make the shows that you want to watch. For more information, contact Station Director Dave Cable and we will see you behind the cameras at BP TV.